Yeah, so I think for our listeners here, a really key consideration is remember, you're always going to be refining. So don't get locked into, well, we've typed it out. It's now on our continuum. We can't change. No, it's going to shift and adjust over time. Something that you thought was a big rock 10 years ago is not going to be 10 years from now. So be comfortable that it's going to continue to adjust. And again, I use that word refine. So Jen, when you talk about the programs, I often hear, we've invested so much in this particular program across all our classrooms, so it's going to be a tier 1 practice. And the problem with putting programs in place, like is what happens if a teacher strays away because they've adapted it somewhat in their way, and they found ways to enhance or build upon, or in time, maybe we find a program that's superior to something that we're using. So you nailed it, of being able to say, what's the key why underneath it? So when you think about something like Daily 5, where read to self is one of the key components within it, we should ask why. And so maybe at tier 1, what goes is opportunities for students to engage daily with authentic literature. Now, how you do that in your room might look different than mine, but we all agree that's critically important to be putting in place. So now once we have those in place, I think it's really important that as a staff team, we start to discuss, so what does that look like in your room? What does it look like in my room? Or sometimes even the antithesis of what does it not look like? If we agreed that in our relationship continuum, that we will have daily interactions with our students as a core big rock, then we should be talking about, in my classroom, here's how I do it. In your classroom, here's how you do it. An example of something that would not be supportive of that is singling out 2 students a day only that you're going to make a certain connection with. So trying to really think through what it is that we agree it looks like is really important. And then from an administrative lens, we want to be able to look for those things when we're out in our walkthroughs, looking for evidence of that and integrating it into some of our walkthrough processes, or in time for teachers to be able to come in and watch. And, one of the big rocks we've said is that students have access to quality literature in every classroom. Well, let's go in and take a look on a staff day. Let's go do a little tour of classrooms and see how everyone's built a classroom library that accomplishes that big rock. So I think that ongoing conversation, I've often seen schools that make it, 5 minutes. Let's take one of our big rocks on a staff meeting day, find a partner, talk about what it looks like in your classroom. And I think within schools, I've seen them put public displays. Here are the big rocks. I think again about Northern Gateway. In many of their schools, they have it publicly displayed. Here's our 5 domains of quality pedagogy that we are all aspiring to. And then I think being able to continue to add resources to each one of those. So that's something we've tried to do in a number of schools, is if we've said this is a big rock, well, let's link a video that shows what it looks like. Let's link a Google Drive that we can store samples and resources in, so that when somebody does reach the point of, I know it's a big rock, but I don't know how to do it, or I don't feel like I'm doing it well, we have supports there to be able to really ensure that, as you say, those big rocks are being lived within our school and they're not just words on a page.
This question is brought to you by WeCollab. Designed by educators for educators, this comprehensive digital system aligns with the foundational components of collaborative response. Moving from conversation to action, WeCollab empowers classrooms, schools, and systems to provide the very best response for each and every child by informing action-based decision-making with data and evidence supporting student success.